grade reading friends. Today I want to teach you a strategy which is just going to be sketching events to help you hold on to them in a story. I know that you're reading fantasy books and you are reading The Hidden Stairs and the Magic Carpet, and you are also listening to your classroom teachers read The Thief of Always. So because you've heard 3 chapters in The Thief of Always, I want to start by using this as my example. So we know in The Thief of Always we have Harvey, and he is really bored with February and he feels like he's being swallowed up and he's upset. And then one day his window opens in a storm and suddenly Rick Kiss, this unusual man with a big smile, comes through the window. I think that's probably a really big event in the story. So the first thing I'm going to draw on my board is a window. Now my window is not going to be pretty. It's not like art class. This is just something to remind me that that was an important event in the story. So what I did is I drew a window. I'm going to draw an arrow after the window for my next event. So this happened first. When I look at this, my brain is going to think, oh, Rick Kiss came through the window and started talking to Harvey. As we go on, we know that Rick Kiss leaves. He gives Harvey the idea to think about, like, does he want to escape from this boredom that he is in? And eventually he comes back through the window and Harvey agrees to go with him, and they're walking for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks until they come to that wall that Harvey goes through. So to help me remember this, I'm going to draw just a path to help me remember that they were walking, and then I'm going to draw a wall. And it's not going to be pretty, just kind of a brick wall of some sorts. Okay. We don't want to spend too long on our sketches because then we're not really thinking about our reading.
Can I see?
So there is our wall.
Can I see, Mom?
Now we know that they go through the wall and suddenly Harvey is at this house, a big house. Not crazy big, but a pretty big house called the Holiday House. And inside the Holiday House is where he meets the next 3 characters, Wendell, Lulu, and Mrs. Griffin. So I think that Holiday House is probably really important. So I'm going to put a house here. Because I'm not fancy and I can't make it look like the book, I'm just going to write a house, and I'm going to write HH on the house for Holiday House. So these would be the symbols that I would pick out for the first 3 chapters of The Thief of Always. Your symbols might look different. They don't need to be fancy, and there's not one right way to do it. But the purpose of sketching the events is to help our brain hold on to the important things that have happened in this story. Because we know that in fantasy books, many times there are a lot of really big events that happen, and sometimes you end up in really unusual places, and it's really easy to lose track of all those things. Now, I want to practice this next part together. We're going to go to your book, The Hidden Stairs and the Magic Carpet. Okay, and because we're doing it together now, I'm going to switch colors.
Let's do green.
So in our book, we have our friends, our main characters, Eric and Neil and Julia, and they're playing at Eric's house, and they're supposed to be cleaning his basement. And we know that the soccer ball goes down the stairs, and that staircase keeps going, and they end up in this different world. So I think the first thing I'm going to draw is the staircase. I don't need to draw anything about cleaning the basement, just because that didn't seem like a big event. So I'm just going to start with the staircase. Simple staircase. Maybe you want to put a soccer ball at the bottom because that will help you remember, how did they even end up in this different world? Okay. Again, not fancy. Okay, so now we end up in chapter 2, and the kids are in this unusual land, which is Droon. And the first thing they see these flying lizards, which we find out later are called goggles, or groggles. I'm pronouncing that wrong, groggles, that the nins are going to ride on. But if I'm going to do an event for chapter 2, maybe I just want to draw, they see these trees with these nins in them and these groggles, just something to help me remember that they ended up in Droon. So I'm going to do a very simple tree. I'm going to maybe draw a little person sitting up in the tree. Those are our nins, and then we've got our groggles flying around. Okay, again, as you can see, Mrs. Kuhn is not a great artist, but when I look at that, I'm like, oh yeah, they ended up in Droon, and the first thing they saw are the Nins and the Groggles. Then we move into chapter 3 where we start hearing about way more characters. Now we have our separate Google Doc to help us remember the characters that I'm helping you with, and then we're adding characters too throughout this book to hold on to who they are. Then chapter 3, they do meet one really important character who's with them for most of the chapter, who we can kind of figure out already is probably a good character, a protagonist, a good guy, and that is Princess Kia. And Princess Kia tells them a lot about what's going on with the evil Lord Spar and finding her father, the king, and some of the things they're going to have to do. So, but the big event in this chapter is meeting Princess Kia. So I might just do this. I might just draw a crown, because she's a princess, and put a K in it. If you want to draw a stick girl and put a K on it for Kia, however you want to remember that in chapter 3 they met Princess Kia, and they started to learn a little bit about some of the other things going on, that is up to you. So for your first 3 chapters, this is what your event sketches could look like. And this is a strategy you can use with this book or with any book to help you remember what's important in your reading. So when you go back and summarize, you can say, first, Neil and Eric and Julia were cleaning the basement and they fell down the stairs into this mysterious world. They looked up and they saw Nins in the trees, these red guys, and these Groggles flying around. And then they met Princess Kia and they started to learn that she's hiding from Lord Spar and she needs to find her father. And that would be how we use our pictures to help us summarize. So your job today while you're reading is to start out with your pictures for the first 3 chapters. And when you finish chapter 4 and chapters as you go on, add 1 or 2 pictures. You decide what's important onto your sketch. Again, you might want to do this in a notebook where you can have 2 pages open up together, or if you have printer paper, you might end up having to tape them together. When you get to the end of a row, you can draw an arrow and just go back like this, like a snake, and keep going. You get to decide how you want to organize this, but this is a strategy to help you hold on to all those important things. All right, friends, enjoy your books, keep reading, and keep learning. I can't wait to see you in person soon. Bye.